Peace, this is Tareck Adeeb. It's time to go with the flow, bringing you a short synopsis of the week ahead astrologically. So I hope you've all had a good equinox. That's it. We've now passed a pivotal stage of equal day and equal night. Depending on what hemisphere of the planet you're on, we're now reaching a new season. We're now moving into the winter or the summer, depending where you are. So this change is quite unique. It happens twice a year. And that's it now. We're really heading into the definition, the reality of what the weird summer has all been about. The Venus retrograde and all the planets, still in retrograde, but Venus is gaining more momentum. We've still got a couple more weeks left until we come out of the post-shadow period. Likewise, Mercury is gathering more momentum, but yet we're still in the shadow period. And everything else is retrograde, except for Mars, which is very significant because we're going to have eclipses coming up very, very soon. So the big news event, really, astrologically speaking, is the full moon in Aries this week, which happens on the 29th. And with Chiron in Aries and the node now in Aries, the North Node in Aries, and with the eclipses coming next month, there's going to be a new moon in Libra. So again, this North Node Aries, South Node Libra is all a part of this definition of what we're moving into. The Chinese water rabbit, which happened in February this year, but there's been so much weirdness, like I say, all this retrograde, especially the Venus retrograde, that it's been very difficult to kind of gauge or find momentum. And I just want to say to people who might be getting unwell at the moment, because I've heard quite a lot of it, it's kind of normal, at this time of year to get unwell, with the equinoxes. Usually there's a purge that happens naturally in the body. It might make people susceptible. And, again, there's a lot of subversive aspects in the media right now as well. There's the fear element now that we're all conditioned to, for example, with various new strains. And there's a very real possibility that there could be more of that, especially as we move into 2025. So, we're all programmed now psychologically after the huge trauma that we all had during 2020 and the following years. But then there's also all this other trauma as well, which is going on with regard to the world economic stuff. Naturally, we haven't seen things really improve, even though the Fed last week paused on the interest rate. So obviously America's affecting everyone. But again, I've talked about this before, about the rise of the BRICS nations and things like that. There is so much instability in the world when it comes to economics. And I think we're really reaching a very crucial period of that over these next couple of weeks as we go into October with the eclipses. So there's so much at stake right now. And, just to put it into the more individual aspect of all of this, really this Venus retrograde, coming out of it, coming into the new theme, which October is going to accelerate massively. It's very important with this full moon that's happening in Aries, because, Aries is about fire. It is about new. It is also about ending things to a certain extent, because eclipses are coming, because we're moving into the eclipse cycle after this full moon. We're moving into the new moon, which will be, a month, sorry, it's a couple of weeks. So when we move into that cycle of the new moon, then we've got the eclipses that are going to be coming. So we are really ending things now, or redefining things right now. And that's what that equinox, I really hope you used it wisely. We're still kind of in the portal of it. But again, making a new intention, envisioning, working out what it is now that you want, for the next 6 months. Because when we do get to the March equinox, Pluto will be in Aquarius. And, we're really out of the survive, thrive theme because, we still have this last Taurus eclipse at the end of October. So we're really in it now. We're really into a new world, a new earth. And 2024 to 25 is going to be a very crucial timeline. So we still have a solstice, with Pluto in Capricorn in the winter this year. But that's it, very little time left for Pluto in Capricorn. And that's where this subversive stuff is occurring. That's why it has been heavy. That's why it's going to continue to be heavy. And that's why we have to be wise. We have to be alert to that. The old world is ending. The new world is beginning. And that will accelerate more, as we approach October, where anything could happen. But then when we get into the new year, we're really moving into this whole new earth, new age, Aquarius, if you want to call it that. But certainly technology is going to play a huge theme in it. I've been talking about this for a while now with AI. And I've spoken to various clients, who are pivoting into AI, in various industries that you wouldn't expect. So it's happening. So there's no escaping the new world, the new earth. So also another thing to mention is this Venus square Uranus. So again, the play of this, the play of this full moon happening in Aries, and then also with the square, with Venus squaring Uranus, so Uranus in Taurus, Jupiter's obviously in Taurus too, retrograde. We've got an eclipse happening in Taurus, which, like I say, is coming at the end of October. But with this Venus squaring it, which is a hard aspect or a challenging aspect, then again, what's in, what's out, what's in the new world, what's not in the old world. What do we need to take from the old world or let go of? Like, for example, again, just want to say this quickly before I get onto that be kind to yourself right now, because it is difficult to do things with these retrogrades, even though it's going to get easier. It's going to get easier as we move forward. So just be kind to yourself. Sometimes things don't always happen on time. Like say if you've got ill recently, if you felt a little bit unwell, I was bunged up at the weekend and it prevented me from doing certain things. And that's just the way it goes. You've got to kind of be kind to yourself right now, but we are really moving out of that. We're moving into a more defined, more normal period, even though we're living in strange times. So you've got to be prepared for anything, inflation's still going up. You've got to make sure you have that food, just in case, things go in short supply again. You just got to be prepared because we're moving into more crucial times. But just to talk about this Venus square Uranus and this full moon, we've got to accept, like, for example, like, there's, for me, with everything that I've been through with grief and things like that, it's difficult because, you inherit stuff, or you have stuff that belongs, let's say, for my case, my parents, and I'm a long way from home, and there's all this stuff which, if I don't go get, it's just going to go, so do I get it or not? It's like, it's a long way. Is it worth it? Is it just stuff? And obviously, with the equinox, there's a lot to do with clearing clutter. That's what we really should do. If you think about all the stuff in your wardrobe that you could let go to charity or to refugees or things like that you never wear, that's just there. And in Feng Shui, a lot of the time, it's wise to get rid of this stuff, to help others and to let go, to let in, it's so important. Same with negative beliefs, if we have a negative belief like, oh, I'm never going to have this, I'm never going to have that. And if you continue that, then obviously you go into that spiral and you manifest that. So very important to let go of these things, to let in. And that grief process, or that letting go process is a deep thing, it's intense. So again, once we get to the new year, once we get to April next year, that's so important now. It's really important that we are really ready for April next year as Jupiter conjunct Uranus. And as we move into the new themes of the summer next year, and again, so important, what's in, what's out, what's rebirth, what's necessary now, while we've still got this post-shadow period of Venus, while Mercury is gathering steam, before Pluto goes direct in October, before the eclipses happen, what could we do now that's a limiting belief? Like, for example, I will be offering this, I don't know how soon, but, like things like hypnotherapy sessions, Reiki sessions online and things like that, and probably will be in my community. What can you do, to get rid of these things, which might be preventing you from having the abundance that is your birthright, the joy, the liberation, the happiness. Because again, there's so much subversive stuff, Pluto in Capricorn. There is so much fear out there right now that can get us out of our heart, that gets in the mind, that creates negative spirals, or overwhelm with our emotion. How do we let go, be present, be in the heart? Again, envision, I hope you set an envision, I hope you set an intention. If not, use the full moon and the new moons and really start allowing going into synchronicity, because there's so much opportunity for that with Saturn in Pisces, and going into the flow, the rhythm of harmony, of love, of joy, of happiness. And yes, things will fall away, things that are not aligned with your highest purpose. And that's a grief process. However, things that are in your highest good will start to come to you, will start to be seen. And that is exciting. And that's what I want the state you to be in. So with that, feel the experience of, let's say, this last period of grief, last period of Scorpio, as that really starts to go now. And trust this new earth, Aries, you know, the North Node in Aries. And trust where you are, or if you are in the wrong place right now, really got to start thinking seriously about where to go to, you know, what environment suits you, you know, what's going to be of benefit to you. So you can serve others and ultimately be happy and less stressed. Because it's very, very important to be grounded, at peace, with a plan B if necessary, but really aware that this is a changing time. So if any crisis comes, you know, in the next 6 weeks, or if anything starts to materialize that's kind of overwhelming, that gets you out of your heart, or anything that is just, you know, intense, that you have the necessary skills to relax, to be at peace, to be able to call someone. That's so important too, you know, to have a community. So you'll get through this. So with that, I wish you well. Be your way to show the way. Peace.